Welcome to the Life of KG, your ultimate destination for all things motivation and business insights. Join me, Katie Godfrey, serial entrepreneur and the brains behind the KG brand. Along the way, we'll welcome inspiring guests and share invaluable business tips to fuel your growth journey. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. With that said, let's dive into the world of success together. Are you a salon, clinic, or training academy ready to scale to the next level? My mastermind applications are now open. A mix of hybrid coaching, which is one-to-one direct access to me, group coaching, retreats, in-person days, online learning, everything that you need to scale to the next level. Click the link in the show notes below and fill out the application form today. Hey everyone, welcome back to A Life of KG. Today on the show, I have Hayley Keeber. Hello.
Hi.
So Hayley is a business strategist and she specialises in simplifying business.
I do.
Which is very different to when we first started. So let's give a backstory.
Yes.
You started your business last year.
Yes, March last year.
And Hayley was a one-to-one client of mine. We worked together for 3 months and it was like the baby business, trying to figure out audience, growth building, where are we going, what's working, what's not. And actually since then, 3 months of us working together, like everything's changed, hasn't it, audience-wise?
Yes, everything. Whole 360 change. Well, I'm still doing the strategy.
Yeah.
But yeah, from where I was a year ago to now, it's like a complete change.
I love that. Before we talk about that then, let's go back. Introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are, what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Hayley Keeber and I am a business simplification strategist and mum of 3, handfuls. So it really started, my journey, actually started probably... my business journey started in 2017 when I started my first business with my husband, a carpentry business. So like totally different stuff.
Yeah.
Full disclaimer, I'm not the carpenter at all. He is. But we started that business and I did like the back office, but I was also working full time in recruitment. But I was working 60-hour a week. And it was just hard work. But I loved it. I fell in love with business and the freedom that I saw him have with it. And I was like, right, okay. So that sort of cemented it for me that I didn't want to be doing that forever. And I really wanted my own business. And so, but then obviously lockdown happened, right? And
the dreaded lockdown.
The lockdown that nobody likes to talk about. And I had a decision because at the time I was also going through infertility problems. And then I had like a miracle son, to be totally honest with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, I had my miracle boy.
Is that what all the press is about as well, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, I had 3 stories over Christmas, all about how he came to be, basically.
Oh my God. Tell us, like.
So I got married in 2018 and as you do, I was like, right, let's try for a baby. I already had Sydney and she was 6 at the time and I felt no problem for her. So I'm thinking, okay, great, let's go for it. Like it'll be fine. Started trying and it was like month after month rolled around, negative tests. Okay, fine. What is going on? So after a year, I decided that, I was 30 at the time. So I was like, right, okay, I need to go and get this checked. Went and got it checked and I got diagnosed with PCOS or polycystic ovary syndrome. And they were like, it could be quite a tough challenge for you to fall pregnant. And I was like, but I've already had one. Like it was like a complete shock. And they were like, well, because you were younger, it might have just been that it was easier. So I had a year's worth of treatment, but as our treatment started, go back, before I started the treatment, I had an ectopic pregnancy.
Oh gosh.
was devastating, absolutely devastating. I knew something was wrong because obviously your body gives you signs and symptoms and whatever. And I went in, got it checked, and they said, yeah, I'm really sorry. It's actually in your fallopian tube. Lovely.
So tell me what that actually means then. So your body tells you you're pregnant.
Yeah, so I had like all the symptoms. I felt sick, missed the period, perfect. Took the test, and what I noticed was it was really faint.
Right.
And whereas when I fell pregnant for Sydney, it was really strong.
Yeah.
And so I was like, maybe it's just early. But then that day I started to have a period, but a lot heavier than normal periods. So I went and got it checked out, and that's when they said, I'm really sorry, it's ectopic. But thankfully, and I'm so grateful, it was so early on that it ended that I didn't have to have any intervention.
Okay.
So 9 weeks later, that all ended. It took 9 weeks. Yes. And
that's giving me shivers. Like, what an awful time.
It was difficult, especially when we'd been trying for a year and it was like, oh my goodness, this is brilliant. And then all of a sudden it was like, no, it's not anymore. So when that ended, I had to have 6 months where nothing could happen, let my body recover. And then we went back and we started like low level fertility treatment, which is where you take 5 tablets a month and that. So I did that. And then the first month that's happened, COVID hit and all the fertility services shut down. So then I had the choice of, do I carry on taking the tablets on my own, off my own back? Yeah. Or do I stop completely? And me being me, I just took the tablets and was like, it'll be fine. They didn't work.
Oh, no.
And then the fertility services didn't reopen. So I was like, okay. So I then had the choice between me and my husband. We had the choice. We stopped trying completely, wait for them to all reopen, whenever that was going to be, because at the time we didn't know, right, what was going to happen. And then or do we just carry on trying? So we decided to stop. I couldn't go through that heartache anymore every single month, you know. And then Christmas Day came along. I don't drink at all. I don't drink. But my husband had a couple, got a bit merry. And then that night along he came, and that was the story.
No.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was our miracle.
Wow. So you've got the 2?
Got 3.
So the third one?
Yeah. So the third one, so Chase is my second child. He's my little miracle baby. Had him exactly a year later, just off the back of his first birthday. I found out I was pregnant with Landon, and I had him.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Yeah. No intervention, no problems. I just struggled with the second one.
Wow. Well, at least you got all your babies in the end.
And now I'm 3 and I'm done.
And you're done. 3 and done.
I pushed it with the third one.
Oh no, 2 and I'm done.
Yeah. It's hard work, and boys hit different, right, than girls.
Oh my God, yeah. It's just a different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, this morning on the way to here, I was calling my mum and I was like, I'm questioning my parenting with him.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on, but for some reason, like, it's just hard work.
Boys are different. They are on the go all the time, whereas my daughter was very much like, very like pretty, very into the nice things. My boys, like, it's like you have to duck and cover every time they're around, because something's going to get launched in a minute.
Yeah, it's completely different. So going back to lockdown times then, was you still working in corporate at this time?
Yes. So I had dropped down. So I had my ectopic, and I remember going in and saying, I believed, and I still stand by it, that it was stress that caused the biggest problems. And I was working 60-hour weeks, and unfortunately, it was a ball game of, although they were great at the fact that they knew I was a mum, they still expected me to work like I had no children, like I had no responsibilities whatsoever. Like the expectation was that you stayed late. Well, I've got a child that I've got to get home for, you know? And the freedom wasn't there. And so when I had the ectopic, I decided, right, enough's enough. So I went and decided to drop down to part-time. Then the lockdown hit. I was furloughed for a couple of months. And then I was like, do you know what? Let's just leave it there. And so I left on really good terms. It was brilliant. But then I decided, right, what am I going to do for me?
Yeah.
And a great sidestep was strategy, because a lot of that was covered in recruitment. So I decided to do my strategy course. I've become certified. I love that. I was also certified in HR at the same time. And then I went to go and start my business and found out I was pregnant. So I decided that, do you know what? I'm just going to hold off starting my business. Yeah. Have him, enjoy him, knowing he was definitely going to be my last. And then when he was 6 months, I started up. And that was me. That's how it's all started.
Wow. So when we first started working together, you was going to go into working with mums in business, want to start their business idea. What's that changed to now, and why did you maybe change that?
Yeah, so I started off doing flexible working for mums. So I really wanted to help mums build businesses around their children. And it was very much covered in my recruitment role, because I was working with high earning professionals, but helping them to run their businesses around their children, which was brilliant. And so it was a great sidestep. But what I found was that I wasn't sort of like aligned with it fully. And actually, one person actually came to me and said, I really want to work with you, but I'm not a mum. And going through the fertility treatments that I went through, it got me. And I was like, oh my goodness, that doesn't sit right with me. And I felt bad for that. And so that's why the change really came about as well.
Yeah. It is that, isn't it? Like, we like helping women in business, but I think sometimes when we are mums, we assume as well that, you know, well, I'm a mum, so I want to help other mums out there, but actually there's a whole pool of women that want help and support.
100%. I mean, if I go back to the thinking, like when I was trying for my son, and it was like, you know, I couldn't leave somebody on the fence just because they were struggling to have children, or, you know, I didn't like that I was doing that, so I changed it.
And I love the fact that you're so visible right now, like as a strategist. Like I said to you just before we hit play, like, oh my gosh, I see you everywhere now. And I love that the visibility and stuff is there. Like, you're gaining PR. I know we worked on like getting your PR and stuff perfect. I think you worked with a PR agency and stuff since. And you're everywhere. It's great.
And it's like, I don't even, but that's the thing, I don't really feel that I am. But I think when you really align with your business, and I think we spoke about this before, but I'm very much like you in the sense that it's my self-care. Like, I lose my mind if I'm not working. And I know that that might sound really strange, especially as a mum. People might look at you and go, yeah, but you're a mum. What do you want to work all the time for? But if I'm not working, I sort of struggle to find things to do.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I really try.
Yeah.
I really, really try and be like, okay, let me just get into a movie, or let me read a book. Unless it's a business book, my mind literally just goes, like, I'm not in it. Like, everything I do has to evolve around the business.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Yeah, I do. And I feel like I'm making a difference. And I feel like I'm being like really proactive, I guess. Whereas like and for me, the thought of going to a soft play just doesn't hit the same.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But do you know what? That actually surprises me of you.
Really?
And I think it's because before it was like mums in business want to help mums. So that associates me with going, okay, Hayley loves soft play, doing all the mummy things and all of this. So even that, like I said, it just wasn't in alignment. And I think as soon as you know that you are working in alignment and you're like, do you know what? I was actually put on this earth to serve this purpose. Yeah. Everything else just flows.
100%. And I think the biggest mistake that I probably made right at the beginning was assuming that people would be more drawn to me just because I was a mum. I felt that was my USP. But actually, as I've gone through the journey and I've actually had to do a lot more inner work. When I first started in business, everyone was talking about like mindset and things like that. And I was a bit like, yeah, okay, fine. Like I didn't really want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Actually, that was probably something that I've learned massively, is that actually your skill set might not actually fit where you think it fits.
Yeah.
And it's only when you go through the process and you do the learnings and the changes and the testing, do you realise, oh, actually, that's my niche, not what I thought it was.
Yeah. And it is just testing, isn't it? When you start opening these businesses, it is just seeing what works, what doesn't work, like, what do I need to tweak? What actually is my audience wanting as well? Because sometimes we can have something and we're like promoting it, thinking, why is no one buying it? And actually, that's not what the audience want.
100%. Yes. That's a learning I've had as well.
Because you are so consistent. Maybe that's what it will be why you're so visible. Like, because your consistency is like second to none. Like when we would work together, like you're getting things done like straight away. You was like on the ball, and that's in your nature.
Yeah. Do you know, it's funny you say that. So I am now part of a mastermind. I joined a mastermind and it was the best thing I did. And I've been part of programs and courses and stuff. But when I joined the mastermind, that's when a lot of things started to change.
Yeah.
And
they're game changers, aren't they?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I honestly, I wouldn't not be a part of one now.
Yeah.
And funny enough, my mentor now actually said to me only a week ago that you can collapse time like nobody else. And I thought, what are you talking about? And she was like, the things that you get done in a week around 3 children is just like beyond. But I'm like, because I love it, it doesn't feel like work to me.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about what you do now. You simplify businesses. So what does that look like?
Yeah. So from working with my clients and having conversations with other business owners, people were coming to me quite organically for time management, because people saw, and I don't know if you find this, but people saw that I had children and was like, wow, how do you cope with 2 businesses? Because we've still got the carpentry business, right? And that's like a multi-6-figure business now. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, so how do you cope with having 2 businesses and 3 kids? And so people were organically coming to me. And what I started to find was the problem was actually that people were overcomplicating their businesses. It wasn't that they didn't have time. And time very rarely is the issue, because I believe that you give time to the things you prioritise.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? So time was not the issue for most people. It was actually what they were doing in their business. And so when I joined this mastermind, it became apparent that actually my gift was more about simplifying it, taking out the fluff, taking out the noise, and just, you know, and I think we had this conversation when we first started working together, that you don't need to have, you know, like 100 different one-to-one options and all these courses and memberships and all these things. If you're struggling with time, why you're adding more to your time, what you need to be doing is streamlining what you have. So now what I do is I take people's businesses where they're overwhelmed and struggling and, you know, stuck in the do all the time, because a lot of people feel like they're on that hamster wheel of constantly doing client delivery. And then it's like, well, where do you get the time to work on your business? If you're constantly stuck in it, you're not going to grow it. Right.
Yeah.
And so we now take businesses and I simplify them in a way that we strategize it, streamline it and systemise it. Because again, even though we're all online, how many people systemise their businesses?
Yeah, like hardly anyone.
No.
And I think the online business world is like very good at doing that, like complicating everything, still feel like we're doing everything ourselves. When actually there are so many different things out there where it can be automatic for you.
100%. And one of the biggest things that I see people overcomplicate is actually their offer suite. You know, the amount of people that will come to me and they've got like 7 one-to-one offers. Yeah. And I'm like, and they've still got, say, like a 9-to-5 job. Yeah. And I'm like, how can you give 100% of your time and do the best job and get the best transformations for your clients if you're stuck if you've got all these things, imagine if you like fully filled everything that you were doing, would you be able to give 100% to everything? Probably not.
No, definitely not.
So now we need to, and I think as well that people tend to do, what's the word? So you sort of like put things out that you think you should be putting out rather than putting out what you know you should be putting out.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's comparison as well, isn't it?
100%.
Like we look online, we think, oh, well, this person's doing this, they're doing this. That means then I should do that too. And actually, it's not the case whatsoever.
100%. Yeah, comparisonitis is one of the biggest things I probably deal with on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, that and systemising and automating and all those sort of things.
I need to tell you about our lash and brow growth serum. If you're not retailing this within your business yet, this is a no-brainer. The profit margins are amazing, but your clients are going to be so happy with the results because they are insane. I've been working on this product for the last 10 years because I wasn't going to bring out this unless it was the best. So you can go and head over to kgprofessional.com, go and grab yours for only £14 and you retail it at £34. Go and get yours now. Yeah. Is it mainly coaches you'd say that come to you, or what kind of mix of businesses are coming to you now?
No, I have like a lot of online service providers. So it would be like branding experts, people that are social media managers, yes, coaches, and who else have we got? So we've got, coaches, branding, social media managers, a lot of life coaches as well that want to do courses and stuff.
So anyone that's online, when it comes to their product suite then, like how many offers do you think there should be?
No more than 5.
5.
From top of funnel or from your freebie to your one-to-one services. I personally, especially if you're under the 100K mark, I think, if you're working up to that first sort of 6 figures, I think that you really need to put sort of your expertise into areas and get to be known for what it is you actually have and what you do. So get to have your USP as like, you know, your core offer or your framework or something. You don't need your USP doesn't have to be what it is that you do, because there's 100 people doing what you do, right?
Yeah.
It's about getting to be known for how you do what you do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was very, very good at doing that, as in the fact of having 1,000,001 offers.
Right.
I was one of them people a few years ago where I'd have go, well, someone's asked me for this course, so let's produce that. Someone's asked me for this like advice, so let me do a masterclass on that. Let me do power hours. Let me do WhatsApp support. Let me do this. And you'd have so much stuff. And then you'd think you'd then cover all bases because, well, this is what everyone's asking for. Where actually, when someone then inquires and then you send them to the page where it has all of your options, they're overwhelmed, let alone you.
100%. And it's like a one-way ticket to burnout, right? And I think I always liken it to if you go into a restaurant and you've got a menu that is pages and pages and pages long, do you sit there and think, oh, I'm going to have that? Or do you sit there and go, oh, I don't know, because now I don't know whether I need that or whether I want that. Or if you go into a restaurant, you've just got that one page where you've got your starters, your mains and your desserts. You pick something, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's easier to get people into things. And it's what you become known for.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, definitely. We've made sure that we've taken all of that away now. We have like a product suite which is like under £50. So you know that the little micro courses and stuff like that. But then our key offers is literally like mastermind, one-to-one, retreat.
100%. 100%. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can have like your bits that sit in the background, that sit on your website, and people can pick and choose, and that's up to them, and that's great. But I think if you're wanting those transformations for your clients, because I think that was the biggest learning for me. So I was helping people over a month at first.
Yeah.
And that was brilliant. Yeah, everybody liked that. But was I getting a true transformation out of people that I knew I could get?
Yeah.
Probably not. So I changed it from a month to a year. And the transformation's been totally different.
You do need so much longer with a client, don't you? And I do think people go, oh, well, can I test? So I hear this so much in like my space, the coaching space. It's like, well, could I try it for a month and then see the results? And I'm like, you're not really going to get that many results in a month. In 3 months, you might see something, but still not enough. Like, you do need to be with someone 6 to 12 months 100%. To learn, to implement, to then see results.
100%. And if you think it takes 90 days of testing to actually see if something's working. So if you try something on social media, you're meant to test it for 90 days. If you're working with somebody for 30, are you really going to get a good transformation? You're not.
No, I love that. So if there's people that are like feeling burnt out, like just stuck with their businesses, what tips would you give them?
So I think I would really sit down first and foremost. If you're really feeling burnt out and overwhelmed, really look at first and foremost, how do you like to serve? Because how many times do we do things based on how we like to serve? So for me, I'm not a great writer. I'm quite open about it on all my socials. People know that. But I can talk for England, right? So I do a lot of mine through talking and sort of face-to-face things, because that's my serving style. But somebody may be doing lots of talking, but actually they're far better at writing, or whatever it might be, right? So however you find your own way of doing it. So I would look at your offer suite and think, one, is it too much? And am I serving to the way that suits me and lights me up? Am I actually doing something that gets me out of bed in the morning and gets me really excited? Yeah. Because selling shouldn't feel like a chore. It should actually just become quite natural if you're quite sort of aligned with what you're doing. And then also I would look at maybe automating a lot of it and streamlining it and see if you can do that.
So can you go into that a bit more? Because I bet there's so many people that go, I keep hearing the word automating. What does that mean and what does that look like?
So there's so many different ways. It depends on your business and what you've currently got in place. But first of all, I would look at, are you onboarding all your clients manually, first and foremost? Because if you are like, oh yeah, okay, I'll get that email sent over to you this evening or whatever, actually you could be automating that to go straight out as soon as that person pays for whatever service it is. Yeah. You could have an email sent out to them with all the information. They can do it all themselves. Same with the offboarding. Once they come off, then you can send them an email with a feedback testimonial form or whatever. Other things that you can do are your social media. You can batch create that. If you've got a framework that works for you, you can batch create that for a month before, and and that comes down to your strategy, doesn't it? Right. So if you know what you're working on month, you can have that batch created out, and then you can create little bits here and there. And like you said, like, I'm really visible, but I don't feel like I am because I batch create all my stuff. So I don't really have to worry about it too often. Same with your emails, batch creating them and putting them out. But it is surprising how many people still do it manually. And one of the biggest things I hear, especially with content, is, oh, well, I didn't have time to put my content out because I went on to Instagram to look for inspiration for today. And then I ended up scrolling through Reels for an hour and I've lost an hour. And it's like, okay, we could simplify that.
Yeah, I do. I'm talking to so many of my clients at the moment as well that are like really getting put off by social media, and they feel like the posting is a real headache. So obviously they go into like social media managers and stuff, which is absolutely fine. They're there. Like, there's some that are like charging the absolute earth, and there's some that are charging middle ground. And there's some really good ones and there's some not so good ones. But then also, like, if you just batch, that just takes away the element rather than feeling that I have to do it every single day. Like, I will batch once a month and then I know all of my content for the companies are going out. We actually have social media company that deal with 2 of our companies because I like to focus all on coaching, and that works. But me batching a month at a time, when I sit down, I'm like, oh my God, I've got to do a whole month's worth of content. This is really long. But as soon as that day's done, I'm like, great, don't worry about it for a whole
brilliant.
month.
100%.
Or if that feels too long, just do like a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time.
100%. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you don't really know what you're going to be working on because the strategy's not quite there, that's okay. You can do it a week at a time, a month, 2 weeks at a time, whatever. But if you're sitting there every single day, like, oh no, I haven't posted yet, the chances are that what you're going to be putting out it's probably not going to hit the way it would if it was really thought out.
Yeah. I think people like to just post and not actually realise, hello, there should be a strategy behind this. Why are we posting in the first place? What are we trying to achieve from this one post? Like, people don't think that far into it when they need to.
No, and I think a lot of people still, even now, just look at like the engagement. But actually, I wouldn't even bother looking at the engagement on it. Like, I would just look at, right, am I putting my message out there? Is it getting to the right people? And then worry about the engagement.
Yeah, I'm so with you on that. Like, lots of times people go, well, I'm spending all this time like producing my content, but I've only got 2 likes, or I've got no one commenting. And I'm like, but those things, yeah, okay, they look great. They'll give us our dopamine fix. But actually, like, it's a vanity metric.
100%.
Like, we need to look at the insights.
Yeah.
Like, how many people have actually been visible to that post or that story? Like, how long has that been watched for? If it's a video, are most people clicking off after a couple of seconds, or are they watching the whole thing? Like, those are the types of stats that we really need to see, rather than who's liking. Because how many times do we, when we do scroll, which is very rare for me, but when we do scroll, it's like, do you comment and like on every single thing? Well, if I've taught you, then hopefully you do, because lets you scroll into like the best advantage. But most people don't. They just will scroll.
Yeah, 100%. Most people just scroll because they've got nothing better to do.
Or when you get people that go, oh, I love that post you done. Like, yeah, cheers, thanks and like. That would have been great.
That's
like
so
a comment would have gone a mile away, but no, they just don't do it. People just don't.
And do you know, it's surprising that a lot of clients will come to you having never liked or posted on or commented on anything you've done, but they've been watching you for months.
Yeah.
Because people don't. People, I don't know, some people don't like to comment and like, and then you get the other people that just go on your profile, like everything, have never read a thing that you've done, and then they've gone away because they just want you to follow them. And that doesn't work either.
Yeah.
So it's all vanity. And I think as well, going back to your question about where, you know, if you're feeling really burnt out and overwhelmed and you just don't know where to go, market research has been like the biggest game changer for me.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
In what sense?
So I did some market research last year. Now I've done like what I used to think was market research, and I've learnt my lesson on this one as well.
And this is a strategist, isn't you?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Learnt my lesson on this one. I would go onto like my stories and social media and put the polls up, and I think they're great.
Yeah.
They've got their place, 100%.
Yeah.
But nothing beat me getting onto a Zoom for half an hour with 5 different people. I did 15 minutes where I asked really open-ended strategic questions. And then I gave them 15 minutes of my time to ask me something that they wanted to ask me as like a thank you. I did that for 5 people. And off the back of that, I created my core offer, my framework. I got 4 clients from it. And yeah, it was an absolute game changer. And I did all my messaging off the back of it as well.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So when I teach salons, in my 6-week program that I've got, there's a bit about ideal client. And so many people, me included, find ideal client work really boring.
Yeah.
Even in my book, there's a chapter about ideal client. I was like, I can't believe I have to write about this. I've made it interesting. Don't worry, everyone. But for me, I'm like, oh, I hate ideal client work, but it's so needed.
Yeah.
And in the 6-week program, I say, go with your top 5 clients, ask them to come on like a focus group or a Zoom or something where you can just ask them loads of questions, because then you really get to understand who you're working with, who you can target, who you can write your content for. 100%. And then if you only have them people in mind, the business will flow rather than trying to talk to everyone.
100%. Like I did mine on Zoom. I recorded it. I then translated it. And I used the language that my clients were saying in my marketing. I didn't even have to really think about it. Business is simple when you know how, when you think about it logically, it is simple.
Do you think as well, because most people that have a business are entrepreneurs, and our brains are so busy all the time.
Yeah, shutting them off.
That we are just wanting to like produce something new. And then, actually, this seems quite easy. So maybe if I start complicating things,
Yes.
Like maybe that's what I should do.
Yeah.
We do like feeling busy. Sometimes like we want to, like we got all the idea of not being busy is great, but as entrepreneurs with our minds being busy, we like the feeling of being busy.
100%.
So then we overcomplicate things.
Yeah, 100%. It's like you feel like you have to be moving forward. And if you're not creating and creating and creating, you're not moving forward. But actually, there's 100 different ways to be moving forward. You don't have to keep creating things. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You could add like extra bits in. So like if your core offer grows, for example, you could add in retreats and things like that. And and it's okay to add new things in as you grow, because then eventually, in theory, your team will grow, right?
Yeah.
And so then you will have more free time. And so as you grow, it's great. But I just sort of think like when you first start out, if you overcomplicate it, you've got to think of the outcome. And when you add things in, think, does it actually fit on my offer suite? Does it actually have a place, or is it randomly sitting there? Is there a reason? Am I going to be able to take people from my freebie to a membership, into my core offer, into a one-to-one offer or whatever? Does it fit properly, or are you just throwing it in for the sake of it? Because that's when you start to overcomplicate your business.
Yeah, I love that. And then lastly, going back to time and you being a mum, how are you doing it?
What's the secret?
Because you've got 3. I'm like, my gosh, how are you doing it?
Yeah, it is. Listen, it's hard. I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy.
No.
I'd be lying if I sat here and said it'd be easy. But I'm organised. I'm really organised.
Yeah.
And like I say, and I say this on all my socials, you'll see it there all the time, that you give time to the things you prioritise. So when people say to me, oh, I don't have time, but then I see on their social media that they're watching Love Island, I'm sitting there scratching my head like, you definitely do. You're not using it properly. So it's about being really clear on what my intention is for that day. If my intention is to, I want to reach out to X amount of people, I'll do that. But I also won't be afraid to do it when my children are around. And I think that's what you do amazingly.
Yeah.
Like you will literally, I see you on socials and I know what you do. And I know you go into meetings with, your son on your arm or whatever. And I know you did it with your daughter as well. And I just think it's about not being afraid to do that.
Yeah. Do you know what I've always said? If you don't want to do business with my kids, then I'm not right for you to do business with at the end of the day.
That.
Like, I'll tell you a story. I feel like I'm in storytelling all day. I'll keep going, I'll tell you this story. I remember, it's reminded me more because Brody is now the same age as what Lola was then, but Lola was so much more grown up at Brody's age, so much more grown up. I'm like, how did I do this, and this at his age? Because he's just not there yet. He's a lot younger in the mind than she was. But I remember we opened the franchises and I just done this huge deal on like my first franchise. And she had to come with me because she was only 2 at the time. And she was potty training. And I remember the lady going, yeah, we'll sign the deal, And I was like, right, okay, let's go to this coffee shop. And we went to this coffee shop. And then Lola just stood up and she just weed herself in the middle of this coffee shop. And I was like mortified that this just happened. And then the mop had to come out and everything. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this has just happened on one of the biggest deals of my career. But then I was like, I'm doing business and babies. Like, it's just going to happen. It's not like they come on coaching calls with me. Well, actually, Brody did the other day, but she was mum, felt like it could happen. But that never, ever normally happens. You'd never have even known he was there. But when it comes to actually doing meetings, like business meetings, if my kids are with me, they're with me. It's not like they run wild. They're well trained in business.
Yeah. They've been around it.
Yeah, but like Brody come to me with a meeting with my business partner the other day. We had to do an hour and a half of strategy. I thought, God, what's he going to be like? Took his dinosaurs and he was an angel.
Absolutely. I think if you're really open about it as well, like you say to people, like I leave messages for my clients. So I'm like, I'm really sorry for the screaming in the background. There has been a time where I've left a message for someone and I've literally had to go and get my 2 boys and just pull them off each other because they're just fighting in the front room. It happens. Life happens. And I think people want to see the raw as well. I think if you're just looking polished all the time, unfortunately, people see through it.
Oh, they do. You have to be real 100%. And actually, I think the fact people like it, if you are running a business with children and can see, well, actually, if Hayley can do it, so can I.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
just because we've got children, it doesn't mean it has to stop us.
No, and I think that's such an old-fashioned way of thinking. I think we're so conditioned to believe that mum should be at home, you know, and if you do work, you know, even now, people will say to me, oh, so when the boys are at school, you're going to go and get a proper job? The amount of times I've heard that.
Oh my God.
I'm like, it is a proper job. Do you realise how many lives you change by doing what you're doing? It is a proper job and it's a fantastic job and I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not going back into corporate now. I've got my freedom now.
Are you loving it? Are you loving that you've got freedom, like doing things on your time?
100%. 100%. I love it. Like, yeah, I wouldn't go back now. Yeah, I do. I love it.
I love it. You've come so bloody far in like a space of a year that I've known you. It's been amazing to watch.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it has been a hell of a year. It's been a big learning year. But I think if you're not willing to learn the stuff, then you're not going to get very far either.
No, definitely. Where can people follow you, connect you, drop you a message?
Yeah, so I'm mainly over on Instagram at Hayley Keeber strategist. So yeah, come and connect with me over there.
We will put the links in the show notes. If you love this episode, if you're another mum in business, please tag us both and share it so we can spread this episode far and wide. But thank you for listening and thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.